Hi, and welcome to the Roundtable Podcast. I'm your host, Merlin, and today we're going to be talking about dreams, what they are, what they mean to us, and just in general. So today we're going to be doing a roundtable format. So we'll be going down the list of our live audience members right now and just discuss if you want to discuss your dreams. But I guess I'll start, just to get the ball rolling. It's kind of funny. Well, it's actually not funny, but I haven't dreamed in a very long time because I've been smoking marijuana for years, and I just stopped smoking just recently, and so my dreams started to return again. And last night, I had a pretty remarkable dream. Actually, it wasn't really that remarkable. Because with a person that I've had PTSD for quite some years, dreams actually were a huge part of that. I would have the same kind of reoccurring dreams where I'd feel stuck, or I go blind, or or I can't move and stuff like that. So hopefully those don't return. But last night, I had this. So it started off with me walking my pup, and I was walking my dog, and he got loose. He got away from me, and so I tried to start chasing him, and I was chasing him through this parking lot, and he just took off. I couldn't catch up to him, and I don't know what that means, per se, but I ended up going into this woman's clothing store, and I started to try on different women's clothes, and so I put on this one piece jumpsuit. I don't even know what that means, right? But but I ended up wearing it out the store, and then I was in my car, and I was like, why did I buy this thing? And then I looked at my receipt, and like when they print off receipts and they're like extra long, they're like, why would you waste all this paper just because I purchased this one item? So like this receipt was like ridiculously long, and I was like, how much did I spend on this? And it was $9. So and then I ended up going to I guess the actor from the Joker, Joaquin. I don't know his last name, but he was in the car too, and so we ended up going to his apartment. And I think the reason why he was in the dream was because earlier in the day, Christopher Robin, one of our members, he asked if anyone wanted an emoji, and so I gave him that Joker emoji. And personally, watching that movie, I related a lot with him. And so when we got back to his apartment, I remember there was a woman there too, and she like put him against the wall, and she's like, "Fuck me right now." And I know it's kind of weird and intense, but like I felt jealous. I was like, "Huh, that never really happens to me." It was interesting. And then so we ended up going into the bathroom. The woman kind of disappeared. He kind of like whatever. She just wasn't there anymore. And we were in the bathroom, and the bathroom wasn't really a bathroom. It was more like a backstage room that you get ready before a show or something. And I don't know what that meant, but to me, it was like I personally, I spend when I'm in the bathroom, I'll look in the mirror, I'll talk to myself or something like that, like regular crazy people do. And so having that kind of connection with that character Joaquin, or the Joker, and myself, seeing a lot of myself in that character, I thought that was kind of a reflection to a lot of those moments that I have with myself. And then I remember he sat down in the living room, and there's really nothing in the living room except for just like an armchair, chair arm or whatever, like one of those recliners. And he was watching his movie, The Joker. And I remember thinking, man, that's weird. Why would you want to watch yourself? And I think that was a reference back to earlier in the day when I was, doing some editing with some of our podcasts yesterday. And I'm like, to make sure the audio was good on the podcast. I just I click randomly to make sure that all the audio sounds right. And so I clicked on this one part, and I was listening to myself talk about a story. And I remember thinking, why am I listening to myself? I don't want to listen to myself. So I think that was kind of a reference to that. And then like the next thing I know, it just goes to a new scene. And the scene is my cousin Carrie's house, but it's not her house, but it is her house, right? It's not the same house that she's there, but it was her house. And then my puppy was back. right? And I remember he had to go to the bathroom, so I was like, hey, you got to take the dog out. And I go in the backyard, and there's like dog poop all over the backyard. I'm like, oh, I hope he doesn't step in any poop. And then he just kind of goes away from the dream as well. And so I go back inside, and there's a lot of people in the house. And it was like there was an event going on, and we were actually going to watch a documentary, Out of Shadows. And I remember because like earlier that day as well, I had been referencing that documentary to one of our members, saying, "Hey, like it's one of my one of the must watch kind of documentaries." And I remember sitting down on the couch, and Tom Hanks was next to me, and it was the young Tom Hanks. And I remember he was really nervous and stuff like that. And so like I was like, "Why are you nervous?" And he's like, "Hey, Merlin," and he actually referred to me as Merlin in the dream. And so I was like, "Hey, Merlin, we need to go outside." And so we go outside, and so I'm like, and he's like really nervous and stuff like this. And so I try to confront him because like one of those like pedo gate documentaries that I just watched recently, not yesterday, but within the last week or so, was about Tom Hanks and his weird pedophilic post that he puts on Instagram. And so what happened was he started getting nervous, and he started doing different like acting voices and stuff like that. And I got the sense that he was going to try and kill me. And so I went and I hid behind this like dumpster thing, kind of whatever. And then he basically took off and went somewhere else. And he got away basically. I think he got in a car and took off. And so, I think that was symbolic of like him, just getting away, like, and, just like the elites in general getting away with whatever they do. So I go back inside, and like so they're cooking like food or whatever. So I go up to the oven, and and like there was this girl in a red dress, and like she pulls out this chicken that was in the oven, and she opens it, like, hey, we marinated this with marijuana. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool, whatever. And then she's like, then she asked me, hey, do you want to fuck? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then the next thing I know, I'm blindfolded, and she's like, we're gonna go back to my secret place. And then I end up on the bed, like handcuffed, but not handcuffed. It was like very loose restraints on the hands. And and once I was unveiled, what I was watching, or basically, I was like, "Oh, we're in your mansion." Like I've been there before, which I've never been there before. And so we ended up having sex, and then we ended up going to the dinner table to eat the chicken that we had, which was at a different place. And then I started to get the sense that she wanted to kill me. And so I look under the table, and there's this big butcher knife, and I go, "Why is there a butcher knife?" And so I grabbed the butcher knife and the steak knife, and I put it away, and I said, "You shouldn't have tried to kill me." I wasn't gonna do anything, but I got angry, and then basically again I put her up on the like we were gonna have sex again, and I put her up on the counter tabletop, and basically started doing that. And like the reason why there's so much sex going on, like I don't usually have a lot of these like sexual dreams. But like to me, like I was really trying to interpret that, especially earlier on when like that Joaquin character and his being put up against the wall, like I guess it was more of like a jealousy, or like I'm not really sure, but I kind of what I attributed it to was, since she was in a red dress, that she was like a Jezebel spirit, like a demonic Jezebel spirit that was basically trying to seduce me into doing. And this woman, by the way, she wasn't particularly beautiful, and she wasn't even have a particularly beautiful body, but she was just a woman in general. And and I've been wrestling like with this whole idea, or not this whole idea, but this whole like my sexuality in general. Not so much I'm not turning gay, but asexual. Like I've really lost my attraction for women over the past couple years. Like I just really just don't feel attracted to women anymore. And so I don't know if that was like my dream trying to affirm, hey, you're still a heterosexual male, you're okay, you're not gonna turn into some asexual person. But yeah, that was my dream. And then like afterwards, I'm back at that store or whatever, that woman's clothing store. And I wasn't wearing by the way, that whatever dress or one piece suit that I put on. That I took that off in the car, and I had like regular clothes underneath. But I saw my dog running towards me again, and it was there's traffic. There's a street, whatever, and I was like, no, stop, stop, don't run across the street. And he just kept running because he doesn't listen, and so he runs across the street and he doesn't get hit by a car or anything, but. That was pretty much the end of my dream. So, yeah, I hope that wasn't too embarrassing, and I'm pretty sure people are going to hear about it. I'm probably going to cringe when I listen to this again. But yeah, it took me like I really spent a lot of time, this morning trying to understand what that dream meant to me. And, I pretty much, discerned what I thought it meant. But you know, it's just honestly, I'm glad to have my dreams back. And I have been praying and asking the Lord, to not reveal himself, but like to guide, and like even to use my dreams as a way to communicate. And I really think that's like the whole Jezebel spirit. I don't really know what that means too much, but like I really got a sense that because like when I like one of my biggest things when I first started when I first became a Christian, I really prayed to take away, like lust was a huge deal in my life. It really controlled my life. I basically my entire life revolved around trying to get laid, right? Going out every weekend, getting drunk, talking to women. And I'm actually pretty good at it, actually. I just can't close the deal. And I never really wanted to close the deal. And so I've always wrestled with that idea, like why don't I ever close the deal? I could really close the deal if I wanted to. All it takes is, hey, you want to go back to my place? That's all really. But I never did that. It's always like, all right, hey, well, it was nice meeting you. Like after a makeout session or whatever. But yeah, so um, that was really big contention in my life. And when I prayed, I was like, please, lift me from this possession or whatever that's over me, this energy that's been taking over my life, and like it got into porn, and it was just I was just spiraling downwards, right? It just got darker and darker. The Pornhub look, like the results and stuff like that. And so and then like the day after, I just didn't feel the urge anymore. I really felt that energy was lifted from me. And so uh and that was a few months ago. That was like 4 or 5 months ago. And then like that, recently I've been was like worried, oh hey, am I becoming asexual? I've been losing this attraction to women. So I don't know if that was a reaffirmation or even maybe an attack, of demonic energy. But yeah, so that's pretty much my dream. Um, you know, I hope that it was kind of embarrassing, but that doesn't matter. Who cares, right? So I'm gonna.
Hey, Merlin.
Yo, what's up, brother?
Yeah, I was wondering if you wanted to listen to my dream. It has a satanic theme to it.
Yeah, I was gonna do roundtable format, but I don't want to do that actually because I think I don't want to put people on the spot that don't want to be put on the spot. So we'll do something more natural. Yeah, Ainsop, please take it from here.
Thank you. Well, this dream happened in 2001, so it's like 19 years ago. I remember it succinctly to this very day. So I walked into a bedroom, and there was a man sitting on my bed, and this man was tapping on the bed trying to seduce me. And he said, "Come sit with me." I said no 3 times. He said, "Come sit with me." I said no again. And basically, the third time, he shapeshifted into a blonde-haired woman, to which in my dream, I gladly accepted this seduction. Then after that, I get out of bed, I walk to this table, and there's a comic book on the table. And the comic book says, like, I open the first page, and there's a picture of me being seduced by the man on the bed. The next scene is me denying him again. And basically, each scene was comic book and basically a caricature of the events that just happened a few seconds before. Do you know what I mean? So then in the last page, it was me that walking to the table, looking at the comic book, which was looking at the comic book, which was looking at the comic book. It then turned to fire, and Satan appeared in front of me. And he pointed at me with his red finger and black nails and said, "Come with me." I said, "No." He said, "Come with me." I said, "No." He said, "Come with me." I said, "No," again for the third time. And after I said no the third time, he had this very disappointed look on his face, and he disappeared into fire, and the numbers 666 appeared in front of me. Now, at that point, as the 666 appeared in front of me, that turned to ashes, and I exploded in a nuclear sort of explosion underneath my feet, and I got catapulted into the sky. And as I was going through the sky, I slowed down into the darkness, and in script writing, it said seventh heaven. And that's when I woke up.
Wow.
Goodness gracious.
Interesting, man.
Yes.
You
That
know, like,
happened 19 years ago.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm trying to analyze it, and many people have different, opinions about it. But I don't know. What do you think?
I've talked to a lot of people about their sexual experiences, and none of them have ever actually exploded. So that's certainly very interesting.
Well, remember, Jesus was denied 3 times as well.
Oh, man. Well observed.
like Valor, I'm not sure if you're trying to key up, brother, but we can't hear you. Like that, like I was pretty like in my dream, the number 9, like when I was actually going for a walk that night before, I'm actually pretty obsessed with vortex math. So I like look at the numbers on the different garages and stuff like that around the apartments, and I try to add up the numbers to see if they add up to 3, 6, 9, or 7. And I think there's some powerful stuff behind those numbers. So yeah.
Vortex-based mathematics, BBM.
So unless anyone objects, I'll tell one of my most memorable dreams. Kind of strange given that I'm sort of a non-believer because it's got some religious context. So I sort of become aware in like a second floor, like bombed out hallway, and I'm there with like a group of rebels. It's kind of it reminds me of like the Warsaw Ghetto uprising or anything. So me and a bunch of like dirty, emaciated guys are clutching these hand grenades. And outside, there's a giant, tall, black office building that stretches into the sky. You can't even see the top of it. And there are these cultists in black robes that are trying to like rush from cover to the front doors of this office building. And all of my comrades are throwing grenades at them, and they're being blown to pieces. And then I'm seeing the gore poking through the black robes and so forth. Every once in a while, one of these cultists makes it into the building and starts heading up on the elevator, and we can see the lights like heading up. And the combat rages, and at a certain point, the cultists start getting to the top, the ones that got through, and it turns out their god or their demonic entity or whatever is real and powerful, and this like hand made out of wind starts reaching out from the sky and grabbing up my comrades who had thrown the grenades and pulling them up into the air while their like families clutched at them and tried to keep them down to the ground. And so I was just like sat there staring at my grenade, trying to work up the courage to throw it, but being afraid of their god. And then I woke up.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I was getting a drink while I was listening to that. So, would anyone else like to share one of their dreams?
Yes, I'd like to share 2 dreams I had about my girlfriend. Both were epiphanies and made me realize stuff about my girlfriend. The first dream I had, I was outside I found myself outside the local big mall in the valley where I live. And I thought it was very strange to see men with guns running about. and I heard a firefight start in the distance. So I went and I hid behind a big truck wheel. And then the gunfire came closer, and I suddenly realized I shouldn't be behind the wheel, because if somebody shot the tires would explode and hurt me. So I ran away and into the mall. And as I was coming into the mall, I found my younger self and a mate of mine coming the other way. And my younger self pointed at me directly and said to my friend, "Hey, he looks like me. What an idiot." And they kept walking out of the mall into the firefight. And I thought that was rather strange, and I started to realize I was in a dream. And so I walked in deeper into the mall, and I found a spiral stairway, where there is no spiral stairway in the real mall, going up to a upper penthouse. And I went upstairs into this penthouse, where I found my girlfriend. Except in my dream, she was married to this other man who was not very nice to her. And she stabbed him to death in front of me. And at that moment in my dream, I had an epiphany. I realized that it didn't matter what she did or where she ended up, I would follow her and be with her forever, no matter what it took for me to endure. If she was going to go to prison, I'd go to prison with her. If they wouldn't let me in the prison, I'd camp outside the prison until they let her out. Was what I realized. And that was my first dream. The second dream I had about my girlfriend, we were in her apartment that she owns in a nearby town to where I live. And again, I woke up and I instantly realized I was in a dream. And she was a zombie. And this put me in a bit of an interesting conundrum. What do I do with my girlfriend now that she's a zombie? Well, I had another epiphany, and I said, well, I'd let her bite me and I'd become zombie king, zombie lord, because I will do anything to remain with her and be with her for the rest of our lives. And that's what my two dreams brought home to me and cemented it home for me. Thank you for letting me share.
That was so sweet. That's like a ride or die person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
One of those.
Would anybody else like to go next?
Well, I was just going to say, maybe I hope the two of you are munching on brains together forever, bro.
Absolutely.
I'll go.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lars.
My bad. Okay. So basically, right. I was going to. There's a dream that I had where I was going towards this drug deal. Okay. And this guy, who was in his car with like two of his buddies, and I made a transaction. The drugs, I'm not too sure, it wasn't inside of a clear bag, right? So I put them inside my pocket, but I handed them counterfeit bills. For some reason, I had that on my head, and so they pull the car around and shoot me in the chest, and then I end up in the vehicle driving my car that I have in real life, driving that car while they're shooting at me. And I go up a parking garage and my car catches on fire. My car catches on fire and I hop out the vehicle, and by the time I take 2 steps, it explodes and throws me back, and I land on the ground. I go towards the nearby restroom inside the parking garage, and I look in the mirror, and I have the most absolute horrifying look of just like skin dripping off my body type deal, like I was in a fiery fucking explosion. It was shrapnel in me and stuff like that, like hyper realistic. Felt all of that inside my dream, and I woke up after that. I had no idea. I only had it once. I have no idea what the hell it was about, but it woke me up inside cold sweat. Like I.
You cut out
Merlin,
that.
since
Go ahead, Rob.
oh, sorry, since you were so like forthcoming with your dreams, I'll tell you about a funny one I had, and it's actually one of the few dreams that I went lucid for. So I became aware, like I'm in this enclosed room, and it's got this red and white tiles, like in a diner, and and it slopes down to the center of the room, and there's a big hole in the center, and all of a sudden, a giant Jack in the Box monster pops out of the hole in the center and starts menacing me and like trying to cut me with something. So I grab a baseball bat and I start to swing the bat at this monster, but the bat's all floppy. And then in the dream, I realize, oh shit, this is an impotence dream, and I start laughing, and then I wake up laughing.
That's
Are
interesting.
you impotent?
No, man. But everybody has anxiety dreams about all the. Who here has had the dream about their teeth crumbling? That's like the most common anxiety dream.
No. I've had a lot of dreams where I was stuck in place and I had something rolling down the hill at me.
Mine is whenever someone is trying to fight me, I'll like try to hit them, but then my punches are like really, 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 really slow. That happens to me like every time, dude.
Like you're fighting underwater.
Much. It fucking yeah, dude. It sucks, but they're hitting me like full blown force. That dream sucks ass because like I've been in fights like all of my life, and I know my ability, especially in the military. Getting real physical is pretty easy for me, but it's just like it just makes you feel like shit whenever you're dreaming about about to fight somebody and you're ready to go, and then you're about to punch them, and then it does absolutely nothing.
Man, that's funny because when I used to have those same kind of dreams myself, I would like it wouldn't be slow, but like my punches didn't do anything. And I remember one time I was punching this guy so hard, like his skin was falling off his face, but he was just sitting there laughing at me, and I was like, and I just wake up feeling so weak, you know. So that's funny. Like people do have similar dreams. I wonder, like from my psychology class, like for instance, I don't know if any of you had dreams about teeth falling out. That's a very common dream that people have that's apparently symbolizes aging. So I find that to be quite interesting that, you and I have very similar dreams.
Well, teeth falling out is also, because okay, so it goes like back in history, but basically your teeth are very symbolic because, if you don't have any teeth, then, nobody's going to be able to take care of you. But I'm pretty sure Snarl told me that.
Yeah, your teeth falling out or your teeth crumbling is the number one most common anxiety dream, and it's not just about aging. It's like it's about like losing your power and losing your ability to care for yourself because throughout like ancient history during our development as a species, dying of like your teeth was one of the most common ways to go.
Interesting. Yeah, really interesting. Sir Edward, to give you the opportunity, I know you keyed up earlier. Would you like to share your dream? He might not be, but Lars, do you have another dream?
I just wanted to ask a question about what you think the dream that I said last had anything to imply, or do you think it was just a whack dream?
I really don't like. I don't want to interpret dreams because, like, I don't really know or understand. I barely know or understand my own dreams. But I can tell you how I felt about your dream. Yours is very action packed, And I get that sense about you. I feel like you're more like a on the edge kind of guy, and respect about you. But yeah, dude, like it's very action packed oriented.
Yeah, dude, your dream was like a thriller, bro. Like you started off, you're already in the middle of some gangster shit before stuff even went crazy. So,
Yeah, it's just it was one of the only dreams that I've ever had where it felt very fucking real, even though the actions that were implying and the way how things were happening were not realistic at all. But the way how I was feeling to things happening to me, it felt like physically real to me. By the time I woke up, like I felt sore in those areas.
what about repeated dreams? Because
I
yeah,
had one
I
with
used to
weight.
have I used to have like this different variations of the same dream where I would be in. I guess it had to do with my mother's side of the family because they were hoarders, right? So I would be in a house, but it would be full from floor to ceiling with furniture, and I would have to be crawling through all these like table legs and chair legs and all this stuff. But I was being chased by like a Super Mario ghost that could pass through the objects. So he was always catching up to me, and I was always slow and banging my knees on pieces of wood and stuff. And then the architecture of the house would go crazy, and I'd be crawling up like cramped chimneys and into different passages and things. I must have had like 25 or 30 of these before they stopped.
When it comes to recurring dreams, most of mine were nightmares, and most of them kind of symbolized me being paralyzed or my inability to control the situation or even to escape. Which I don't want to get into that as far as like how it's related to my life. But that dream definitely haunted me at least 2 or 3 times a month. And and like also other dreams too, like when I was saying the counselor, the powerless dream where I'm punching people, and it's interesting because like counselor, he says that he he's been in fights, and especially in the military. I have actually never been in a fight in my life. I mean, I don't count sparring as fighting, or like combat, or even like just martial art training in general. That's just practice and stuff. But as far as like a real fight, I've never needed. And I can talk my way out of things. So,
Yeah,
but
I've had that ineffective punching thing, but more commonly, I have can't keep my balance dream. Like I'm trying to run, but I keep stumbling and picking myself up, or like my ankles won't support me, or something strange like that. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, the most common dream I have is lucid dreams, but I've learned how to lucid dream since I was 12. So it just depends on how you go to bed and the way you breathe. You can have lucid dreams fairly often.
yeah, lucid dreams are actually pretty interesting as well. When I was younger, I made a definite effort to try to lucid dream. There's different tactics, such as, like pinching yourself in while you're still awake, and like using different types of cues, right? Like, or if you look at a clock or something, and like, so when you see a clock in your dream, oh, I know I'm dreaming or something. And so I successfully had one lucid dream, and you know it was like once I realized, oh man, I'm actually dreaming, and I was actually really excited. I was like, oh man, I could do anything I want. So like I was in a crowd of people, and like I decided I'm going to make everybody's face the same. And so boom, everybody's face was the same. And then I was like, I'm going to make trees appear, and then boom, a bunch of trees appeared and stuff like that. And then when I got to the point, I was like, all right, now I'm going to fly. And then I tried jumping off the ground, but I couldn't fly. I as hard as I tried, I just couldn't fly. And then I woke up. And ever since then, I've never really had any other lucid dreams. Does anyone else have any experience with lucid dreams?
Oh yeah, like I personally, I personally I lucid dream often, right? Like the most common one is like, oddly, my dreams are almost story like. So like the one recent, like it's almost like a reoccurring part of the dream is like time control. Like something shitty happens, like it's almost like life events. Like I'm preparing to go on like a city bus, right, and like just fuck it up. Like in the dream I rewind time and try it again. It's really odd. But something interesting most people don't know about their dreams is when you see someone's face, it's the face of someone you've seen in real life. And a lot of times, like, you're like, I don't know that person. Like, it's a gorgeous woman, like you've just fucking imagined, right? But someone your subconscious remembers, like probably from childhood, that you're like, that person's really pretty when you're 8, and now you remember them. A lot of stuff in your dreams are stuff you remember.
Honestly, whenever I have a lucid dream, I usually it's right before I'm about to wake up, of course. And, well, that's the only thing I remember. But, anyways, I'll be sitting there and I'll instantly tell myself to, like, make whatever's going on inside of the dream the coolest, like, best thing that could ever happen with the people that I'm, having or experiencing whatever I'm doing with. Like, but if something like ends up to take a bad turn, I'll instantly shift it so that I'm with a whole different group of people and doing something else that's really cool. And I'll just keep doing that until I wake up, like, or force myself to just open my eyes.
Yeah, no, like I have the same thing. Like when I lucid dream, like a few nights ago, like the most, like the dream I remember the most, right? So it was probably when I was deepest in REM sleep. Was like a hostage situation, and it went bad. And like I remember, because oddly, for the past few months, like anytime I lucid dream, it's like control over time, but it's obviously a dream, right? So it's not control over time. It's like freezing, rewinding, fast forwarding, and I just rewind it, freeze the hostage situation, like, and I thought about how to get out of it in the dream, like. But lucid dreams are really interesting. Like, if you're like a lot of your dreams are like your subconscious telling you. So I know when you're falling, that means something. You're running away, that means another thing. Like in a corridor, that means another thing. If you go to a tower, depending on the shape, it also means something else. Like there's a lot of things your subconscious tells you within dreams. Like I have to refind the video. It's a video I saw years and years and years ago. But like everything within your dream normally means something. Like falling is something. Running away from something, like if it's like a night terror at something, depending on like if you're walking through like down a hallway or like a street, and like the buildings, especially if it's a street that's shaped that they're in, it means something. It's like it's quite interesting. Like dreams are very powerful. It's a tool of the subconscious.
Yeah, absolutely. How about anybody else? Would they like to share one of their dreams?
I'll go. So whenever the first, I'll do two, but whenever the first, sorry for the background noise, but I remember I'm gonna get closer to my mic, so it's kind of drowned out.
Actor, bro.
Yeah, my brother's playing Call of Duty, sorry, but what's it called? My first lucid dream I ever had, as like the way my bed was set up, I was towards a wall. I had a twin bed at the time, and like it's literally like I was in my room, like I went to sleep and I just like woke up in my bed, and it was weird, and it was like everything was like fuzzy around my eyes, but it was like really warm and just like comfortable. So I got up and I realized like I could like look at my hands, and like so I got out of bed and I looked out the window and it was like raining, and there was where there's a lamppost. Sorry, where there's a lamppost, like there was like a giant tree, and then my next door neighbor's yard was like a lake. So I ran out the front door, and then I could feel like the water on my skin, but it wasn't uncomfortable at all for some reason. It's like the water was the same temperature as my skin, so when it hit my skin, it didn't feel cold or uncomfortable or something. And then I ran out to the backyard, and there was like two buildings. One was a gazebo with like a wheelchair ramp kind of thing, like it zigzagged the other way, and there was a pagoda. I don't know if you know what a pagoda is, but it's like those buildings in Japan. They're usually like ceremonial or what's it called, like temples for Shinto, I think. And there was a sign that said "Welcome" near the lake, and I was like, okay, well, if I've made it this far, let me see if I can fly. And I jumped up and just like spread my arms, and I started like hovering. It's like the more I could, like the more I wanted to fly, the more I did fly, and then I zoomed off, and I got too scared, and my heart like jolted, and it woke me up. That was the first one, and there's this other one where what's it called? It opened where I was closing, like I was opening a trunk of like a black 65 Mustang, and there was a beanie, like a hat filled with like magazines, like for a rifle, and I was just loading them. I put on the hat. It was a ski mask, and what's it called? Got the just loaded up a gun and everything. I was with somebody, but they weren't loading up either. It's like I was buying the guns off of them. And then I went into this building that was like a drug lab. Like they were cooking something, and I had gone in and was just started shooting like not like the workers or anything, just like the guards and whoever. And I stole a bunch of money from like a mob boss or whatever. And I'm just like, I hadn't played Payday in a long time. I actually hadn't played video games in a long time when that happened. So I don't know where it came from. I didn't really want to play video games either at that point too. So it was like just completely out of the blue. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's interesting how you said when you went into lake or you felt the water on you. One of my most I guess memorable dreams as well. On top of the other ones I just mentioned, I was escaping a prison in the bayou. And I remember jumping into the water, and it wasn't like dirty or murky water. It was very crystal clear. I felt the water on me. I could feel myself swimming. I remember looking around and just seeing all like the kind of like the grassy underwater moss, tree roots, fish. It was just very, very realistic and felt real as well. And and that's the only reason why I remember it. Like there was way more to that dream, but there was just that one part that I remembered the most. And so, feeling sensations within dreams is very interesting to me.
I've got one.
Please
So, this is so I don't usually remember dreams at all, like ever. I think I remember only 2 dreams, and the first one that I remember is after I broke my arm and I got my metal plate in my arm. I had to just learn how to sleep with it, and this is the only one that I remember. But I was falling off of a bike, and I woke up and I tried to catch myself as I was falling off the bike. And then the next one is in which that one really doesn't have anything to do with anything, but it's just during the time, I guess. But the next one is I'm going through a museum, and I was younger. I think I was like 14 or 13 or something. But I was in a museum, and I was with like a class. One second. Anyways, I was with a class, and we were on a trip, or it wasn't like a field trip. I was just in a class, like doing a tour or something, and I had to pee so bad. So I went around. I went around to all the people that worked there, and I was asking where the bathroom was, but they were all pointing me to the wrong direction. And so I inevitably found the bathroom, and I pulled my pants down in the dream. I just started like pissing in the toilet, but I was pissing in real life. I ended up peeing all over my bed, bro. It's like the best. It's the best thing ever, for sure.
Is it really the best thing ever?
Oh yeah.
Dude, those dreams, for some reason, it feels so real. Like
I know.
Weird. Like I remember one time I was I was running through some neighborhood, like the neighborhood next to mine got destroyed, and I was running through it, and I came back to my house and was just letting one off in the bushes, and it just kept going and going, and I'm like, wait a minute, and I woke up. I just stopped myself in time. Like, those things,
bro, it's like you could feel it like in real life, like you could physically feel what you're peeing out, but in the dream, like it's going exactly where you want it to go, and it's just like, yeah, bro,
Right.
keep going.
Yeah, it keeps going. You're expecting it to stop. You're just, wait a minute, this ain't right.
Yo, you guys need to start like some bedwetters club or something, man. I'm not down with all this.
That hasn't happened to me for at least like 7 years or something like that. I don't know.
That's funny actually, because the one and only time I pissed the bed myself was like when I got super, when people get really drunk or whatever, and they wet themselves, whatever. I had a dream similar to that, and I woke up and I thought it was sweat, to be honest, when I woke up. But yeah, that's hilarious, man. Thanks for sharing that. I know it's kind of personal. So I mean, is there anybody else who would like to share their dreams? I'd like to give you that opportunity. If not, I think this is actually a pretty good podcast. I really appreciate you guys coming and sharing your, personal thoughts and, and dreams, what you think they meant to you. And it's really nice. Dreams are very personal. They're very subjective. And throughout time, dreams have definitely had an impact on the way history has been shaped. Through oracles or kings interpreting dreams in different ways, and so and dreams have just been very important in all cultures. You know, um, because it is very personal, and but yeah, I'll probably end up having another weird dream tonight. Hopefully, I really do like dreaming. I look forward to it when I go to bed, and I always hope that I wake up and I remember and what it means. So, with that being said, I guess we'll conclude. I'm going to say, if you want to join us on the Roundtable Discord server, you can find us at the Roundtable by Googling Roundtable Discord server. You can also check the description below. There, I will provide my Discord name because I know that these Discord invites they change up all the time. So send me a DM. Come join our server. We want to hear from you. We have discussions daily in our voice chat and text chat on any and all topics. We like to debate. We like conspiracies, and we just like pretty much anything. So come on by. We want to hear from you. We've also got ourselves Instagram, Twitch. We stream on Twitch, Facebook page, and Patreon, among other social media events. And so, with that being said, I would like to say let's go ahead and jump up to video chat and continue the conversation or join theirs. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Merlin.